Check. All right. Hello, and welcome again to another edition of the Osteopathic Lyceum podcast. We have the wonderful, magnificent Preston Baptiste. So Preston is a graduate of the Osteopathic Lyceum program. He is working as an osteopathic manual practitioner. You are working in Waterloo.
Yes.
And considering many things, you have many options.
Yep.
I think it's because people like you.
I hope so.
I think so. So one of the things that I will say off the top is that part of your background as a professional includes something that would often gift you humility if you were not looking for it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I would agree.
So former professional Thai boxer, proper term, not kickboxer, Thai boxer, because you didn't fight in any kickboxing associations as far as I'm aware.
We did when Muay Thai got a little bit dicey here, and we would go to like New York and stuff like that and fight some kickboxing rules. So a little bit, but it's mostly been Muay Thai.
Right on.
Yep.
Currently, you are working through ranks in judo. You are competing in judo.
Yep.
As far as I'm aware, what you said is you currently have an invitation to World Masters Games.
Yep.
So as far as I understand, because I have a lot of people that have done Masters track for quite a while, and you go through your country's federation, usually with track and field, you just pay. They say, yeah, let's go, because it's age group anyways. As far as I can tell, based on the superficial stuff that with judo, it's maybe a little bit more structured.
Yeah, because judo is super structured across the world because it is an Olympic sport and it's very controlled. So I'm not sure what went into this in terms of them, World Masters Games, whoever's running it. I don't know what went into them checking with the federations, but ultimately they would have to check with Judo Canada.
Yeah, no matter what.
Who would have to check with Judo Ontario and verify this, that, and the third to say, okay, yeah, he can do this.
Yeah. Well, also, a lot of the competition, it's not just weight-based, but it's also ranking. And to have a proper rank that can be recognized by a federation, the federation also has to recognize, is it the school or is it like a program? They have to recognize the country.
Yes.
Then the country has to recognize the school.
The country will then recognize the province.
Okay.
The province will recognize the school.
Okay, right on. Nice. All right, so structured.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so along with a history of professional fighting, current, you call it amateur competition.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that people aren't highly skilled.
Right.
But currently still competing in a fighting sport. You have been a longtime trainer in a variety of ways. So personal training, but as also fight training.
Yeah. So it started with strength and conditioning. It was me picking up an anatomy and physiology book and saying, hey, how can I improve myself as a fighter, and how can I improve the team that I was teaching? So it started as a strength and conditioning coach. It later kind of evolved into personal training from a general position, but then still focusing on the fight team and training fighters.
Okay.
Yeah.
One of the things that, just off the top for me, hearing that people who just automatically do stuff without somebody telling them, usually it suggests they have more of an internal locus of control. They believe that their choices and action have an impact on the outcome. Even if it's not what they would want, they still put that effort in. As somebody who's running a program, that is a highly valuable characteristic. You don't know if it's there, but when it shows itself, and it'll show itself in almost everybody in these interesting places. The person that just does it is the person that may not be easily coachable, but they're going to succeed, right? So I'm not particularly coachable as a person. It's not that I won't listen and respect people. It's just that I tend to be highly internally motivated. I'm going to do what I'm going to do. I'm guessing that is consistent in most areas of your life.
Yeah, I mean, I like to consider myself as coachable.
Yeah.
But like you, I do have an internal drive of, like, if I want to accomplish something, I'm gonna figure out how to accomplish it, whether I need to do it on my own, or I need help, or I need coaching, or I need this, that, and the third. So a bit of a mix.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, I mean, with the technical skill set, with a technical sport, if you don't have coaching,
you're not gonna go anywhere.
Yeah. I mean, what I would say is it's hard to generate from scratch where somebody's already generated.
Yes.
So you utilize that, then you start to adjust based on your own motivation.
Yeah, exactly. But even on top of that, like, right now with kind of leveling up a little bit, it's like, yeah, I can figure out a lot of different things on my own. You know, it's my body. I know how to move it. But the eyes of a highly skilled coach is always going to make whatever I'm doing better.
Well, and they've seen it before, so there's a pattern that they can pick up on that you don't know exists.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's errors that you cannot detect. They can detect on your behalf,
Yeah.
and they provide the information, and you take it and run with it.
Yes.
That's essentially the finding of my master's research. If you don't know you made an error, you'll make it again. If you do know you made an error, you just stop.
Yeah.
Right. You correct and move on appropriately.
Absolutely.
So training in a variety of ways. What got you to turn in the direction of hands-on manual therapy of any form?
Combination of things. So I would say number one would be me as an athlete and getting hurt as much as I did back then.
I mean, collisions.
Yeah. It was going to different physios, trying to find someone who understands the sport that I was in, because collisions, and not finding somebody. And then B, I felt like because I learned so much on my own that I can probably figure out a way to be kind of that middle point for somebody in that sport or sports that I've been in, understand the mechanism of injury, understand that you're probably going to push through the injury anyways. So giving you insight on, okay, you can maybe go this far with this, but don't go that far because you'll probably snap something. So it's just a matter of everything. It's like I couldn't find anyone that I felt could treat me appropriately, and I couldn't really get over the injuries the way I wanted to, regardless of how well I followed. And then, just me seeing the things within the sport and be like, oh, well, I know this is involved in this movement. Maybe somebody else who was treating me before didn't know that. So I can probably give this person some good insight. Yeah. So eventually it just kind of morphed into that. I can see it from all angles. I can train you to a specific point, and then I can potentially now treat you and then bring you back into the training to build your capacity so that this thing doesn't happen anymore based on the patterns that you're doing.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, that sounds right to me. So either I'm a neophyte and know nothing, or it's right. We'll just go with it's right. So that's the motivation. Did you try different approaches prior to identifying osteopathy as far as your education is concerned?
I mean, I've done a lot of different courses. Everything that I've done has I've did it to kind of develop this specific style that I do. So I've looked at a lot of different things. I tried a lot of different things and put it into practice. Maybe it didn't work as well as I thought it would. So I went and looked for something else. And then that's when I kind of found osteopathy and just kind of seeing the body as a dynamic unit of function and so on and so forth. And with everything else that I knew, it made sense to go down this route. Yeah.
Did you find it purposely? Did you find it more by accident?
Kind of. It's yes by accident, but no. I think that
you were looking for something.
I was looking for something that made sense to me in the way that I thought of the body after looking at these textbooks and then looking at the way that somebody moves when they throw a kick or they try a throw. Looking at how the body moves and realizing that there's so much more to the movement than just this part that this book says is controlled by this nerve. Like there's more to it than that. And then eventually that's kind of how I found osteopathy, where it's, it's the main principle. The body's a dynamic unit of function. It's like, oh yeah, so I can look at the way the hamstring is having an effect on the pelvis, which may have an effect on the spine in terms of load bearing and so on and so forth. So it was kind of by accident, but at the same time, I was looking for it.
Yeah. And you've had experience with more than one osteopathic program.
Yeah.
Right? You finished this one.
Yeah.
Right? So the aim for me, just to note that you've looked at different things, is to just say you're doing your best to be complete in the way that you see value. So you're making your own value judgments. The reason I say that is because each person who makes a value judgment, it doesn't mean that they're right. It just means it's their value judgment.
Yes.
Right. So the way in which you identified this school primarily was through just asking me questions. I don't actually know how you found me.
Somebody had told me through the grapevine that you were opening your own program, your own school. So that's when I started going directly to you. Were you aware of me through the general YouTube content prior to that? Or aware of what I had been doing? Yes.
Okay.
Because your stuff was on YouTube. I've seen it before. I'm pretty sure I even messaged you some questions or something like that. And you replied. But then the actual going out to talk to you directly, that was because somebody else mentioned that you're opening a school. And I was like, well, I mean, I have a lot of questions and he's answered questions before, so why don't I just go get treatment from him because I need treatment. And you're close. So I did, and then that's kind of how that snowballed.
And again, I just want to make sure that with full levels of respect, that what it was is you were getting information and it was valuable to you and it built a fundamental skill set.
Absolutely.
And there was just something else that for whatever reason inside of you wanted to reach out, and there you go. That, Bob's your uncle.
I had some questions in regard to specific things that were being taught, and I was just kind of like, I feel like there's a different explanation or more to this that I'm not getting, and that's not really being kind of relayed to me. So let me ask some people that I trust and see what their opinion is on it.
Fantastic. Now, coming through this program, especially with your background in doing your best to find as many pieces of information as you can in a direction, and also having a variety of different experiences because you've taken different courses. Like you have an FST certification, functional stretch therapy. That's the proper, or is it fascial or functional?
Fascial stretch therapy.
So you have a variety of educational experiences, not just in one field, but in many. You have martial arts experience. So especially with judo now, the Thai boxing I think is less structured. It's more outcome oriented. Right? They're going to teach you moves, but they're trying to help you develop your ability to fight based on who you are.
100%.
Now, judo's going to do the same thing, but the delivery is more structured.
It's very structured. Like you're supposed to know specific throws by this belt level. Right? So, it's very structured in that sense.
So, as far as the manner in which this program was laid out, did you find that, and like I'm obviously leading, but the manner in which it's built to support both discovering and being guided, did that seem to match with the approaches that you not only you liked, but you've seen work not only in yourself but in others?
So I found that the most important thing for me was that I had the ability to make mistakes and learn from those mistakes. So again, from a martial arts perspective, that's how I learn. That's how I prefer to learn. It's you can show me how to do one thing or not, just explain it. Let me do it. Let me make my mistakes. Let me see where I can fix it. And then when you see that, okay, it's starting to come together, maybe let's have him question himself. Let's throw something out there that makes him think about that specific movement differently than maybe he did before. And then I can come up to another conclusion or another way of doing it. And then I can pick what works best for me in any specific moment. So that's kind of what I found this program did for me. It was I was able to make my mistakes in here, whether that's through assessment, gross assessment, or kind of more specific. You gave me the tools to do it, but then you kind of just said, all right, go figure it out for what works for you and your approach.
And in the feedback that is provided, did it feel punitive at any point? No, it was just like, okay, I mean, sometimes I would say that's really cool or interesting, but maybe try to add this piece in technically so that it ends up being more functional and total. And then, I mean, now that you're supporting with respect to helping teach, under the right circumstances, it can feel unguided to certain people at certain times. But it's like, no, I know what you're doing. I'm watching you. I'm giving you the room to experiment and learn. But also when people come up with ideas, I'm like, it's actually a really interesting solution. It just may not work often.
Totally. And that's kind of what I did today, like with the students where I saw some things and I was like, okay, they're on the right path, but let's see if we can kind of fine tune it a little bit and then let them go out and try it again. So I had them tell me how to assess something. It was like, where do I stand? What hold do I use? Knowing what the main objective is this the best way to do it, or could we add something else in and then have everyone put some input into it and then be like, okay, well, this looks like it works great for me. Let's go back out and let's try it for you guys. Try that, compare it to what you did before. Maybe it brings a new idea into your head, whatever, but like it's collaborative.
Yes. Say as a methodology, I haven't done it that way. I didn't say like, you tell me what to do with my hands. Right. So you came up with that on your own.
Yeah.
Right, which is awesome. Then, but it still follows the concept. So you give them a challenge, you let them try to solve it, you see what's going on, then you engage to guide them.
Yeah.
Right, so it's still guided learning. You're just having them engage in a different fashion, and then saying, now try it, but you're gonna have to change it.
Yes.
Right, so it's the important skill set isn't the move, it's whether or not they can solve the problem in a framework.
Yes.
Right.
Exactly.
And one of the nice ones today, one of the nice ones in prone, attempting to generate, I don't know if you saw this, but attempting to generate cervical rotation in prone.
Okay.
One of the young ladies, because the table's in the way,
Yeah.
she pulled the person forward so their head wasn't on. She held the head so it was well supported, and the person was quite able to relax. She rotated. I'm like, well, it's a good solution.
Yeah.
My feedback for me as a practitioner, I'm like, I'm a middle-aged man. I can't do that. Right? Just because of where their face is and the opportunity for problems. Like, nope, I literally can't do that. Like, it's a solution. And then her idea was like, it is, but I would never do this. I'm like, yeah. But if you ever were in the exceptionally strange circumstance where it would present itself, you can.
Yes.
And also, she made everybody better because now they know they can if they have to.
Exactly.
So it's attempting to have a variety of angles that will self-generate as opposed to me being the fountain.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not the fountain. There's no way I know everything. There's no way that my creativity is going to be the perfect creativity and solve all problems in the best way.
Yeah.
It's going to solve it in a good way because I have history.
Yeah.
But other people will come up with stuff. And the people that are usually the most creative with the solutions are the level ones.
Yeah.
Right.
Totally.
And usually there's one that is just a little bit different than everybody.
Yeah.
So that then filters up. So the 2s and the 3s, they know how to do stuff and they're good at it, but they get to reflect on the process and they get to see the creativity and then they bring that in.
Yeah.
So I think, again, it's me thinking that as an approach, it's probably the best for problem solving. It's not the best for transmission of rigorous method.
No.
Aside from the fact that the rigorous method is problem solving.
Yeah.
Right. So the problem will get solved, and I make sure that you're aware of it's a trade-off. So if we try to map that as an analogy, that's probably more like Thai boxing than it is like judo.
Yes.
Right.
Exactly.
Now, it doesn't necessarily, maybe it's even more like wrestling, right? I've never had proper training in wrestling. I don't know if you ever have, right? It's not actually that easy to find in Ontario.
It's getting a little bit easier. Some clubs are kind of popping up.
Yeah.
Like I know there's one in Kitchener, but
Oh, nice.
But yeah, and we're not going to get that same experience that say the Americans do, who have it baked into their schooling system.
Yeah. Is judo still in public schools in Japan?
Yeah.
Okay. It's curriculum.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, all Japanese people know martial arts. No, they don't. That's racist. It's like, well, I mean, like if they went to school, they at least know something.
Yeah.
Right. That's been consistent. That's never gone away.
I don't think it has.
Yeah. So it was 1930s.
Yeah.
Well, actually, no, it was probably more like the 20s. When did you grow? No, it might have even been earlier than that. It might have been like the 1910s. Because when did Kano pass away?
Off the top of my head, I don't remember.
That's fine.
What I do know is that judo therapy was official in the 30s.
Okay.
1930s, which means judo would have had to have been around for a longer period of time.
Yeah.
I just, off the top of my head, I don't remember.
It was late 1800s where he was learning. He was codifying.
Yeah.
That was the big deal. He codified training that you could repeatedly do against pressure.
Yes.
Did I tell you that one of the reasons that I designed the program in the way that I did was because of what John Danaher talked about with respect to Kano?
No.
Okay. So have you read Henzo Gracie's Jiu-Jitsu book?
No, I haven't.
Okay. So Danaher wrote most of it.
Yeah.
One of the things that Danaher did is he noted Kano didn't invent anything. What he did was he codified a training system that you could repeatedly do. Yeah. Because at the time in the Meiji Restoration, older stuff was looked upon poorly, especially jiu-jitsu. Because jiu-jitsu had moves that were very violent, but the problem was you couldn't practice them twice. Yeah. Right? So if I'm going to rake your eyes, I can't practice it again. Yeah. Especially against pressure. Because I mean, like now you can't see, and if I do, I'm just like this. That's assault.
Yeah.
Whereas, so the idea of randori being actual pressure testing. So there is kata.
Yeah.
So there's repeated pattern that's teaching fundamental skill and drilling it. But randori is now its application against pressure. So it's like, okay, it was a training system that was innovated by judo. It wasn't a technical system. And to be fair, Kano got rid of a lot of moves.
Yes.
He removed a lot of stuff because, like, well, you can't do it over and over again, so you can't actually get good at it meaningfully because of the lack of repetition. So why don't I just get rid of it? And so when judo was growing, there was more interesting things as far as I'm aware. It wasn't just constant winning. There was some stuff that they lost at, and they're like, well, we lost to that, so bring it in.
Yeah.
Like kosen judo.
Yeah.
Kosen or koshan?
Kosen.
And which is primarily newaza ground fighting.
It's a longer continuation of newaza.
Yeah. So, and that may have been that probably wasn't what influenced Brazilian jiu-jitsu. It was probably regular judo that had transmitted. I'm hearing more historical stuff that it didn't transmit the way the Gracie family says it did.
Yeah.
But whatever. They're really good promoters, and they have revolutionized martial arts practice in a fantastic way.
Yeah.
But it ended up getting incorporated. So the training system against resistance. So I'm like, how do I train against resistance in osteopathy? Well, not everybody's going to have a problem.
Exactly.
Right? But they're going to have something. So when people are practicing on one another, one of the things that people have said to me early on is like, well, we're not going to have all that many problems. These are all going to be healthy people. And I'm like, well, are you better at assessment if you can find the restriction in somebody who moves well, or the person who's just an absolute wreck?
Yeah.
Right. So the resistance is actually checking one another and then actually trying to apply to what you find, as opposed to me telling you copy this move and pretend like you're doing it.
Absolutely.
So but yeah, it was because Danaher talked about judo as a training method as opposed to a technical system as much. So the reason that judo fighters got so good is because they actually fought. Right. So then you look at Thai boxing. Thai boxers are good because they fight.
Yeah.
Right. But they also, Thai boxers, sparring is playful.
Very well, depending on where you are.
Yeah.
Yes, in Thailand, it's 100% playful.
Yeah.
These guys fight once a week in some cases.
Yeah,
There's
like
no
a
need
tuk-tuk driver has 300 fights.
Yeah.
Like a chubby guy who drives a trike.
Yeah. So there's no need to go at each other like at like 80% when you know you're going to be fighting in a couple of days. So for them, super playful.
Yeah.
You're finding a lot more places around the world who are copying that now, who are just trying to be a little bit more playful. But honestly, that is the better way to learn anyways.
Yeah. Well, I've heard other people talk about this, so these aren't my ideas, but the thing that they suggest is it's good for learning timing.
Yes.
Right. So you because of the collision, because of the striking, the damage opportunity is constant, even defensive injuries.
Yeah.
Like usually you can win a fight, but you might be more of a mess. Because you blocked everything and knocked them out with one strike. They got hit once. You blocked. Like blocking is getting hit.
Yeah.
So the idea is learning timing, learning the move, learning how to flow off of one thing to the other.
Yeah.
Then something that I was talking to you about. So in martial arts, let's ask Seki Sensei. So Asayama. Oh, I don't remember the proper name, but it's the specific sword school which has multiple weapons, but. The Seki Sensei was talking about when you are practicing, the person receiving the technique shouldn't just be trying to win all the time. Like they shouldn't just hold the implement stiff. They should allow it to move, right? So the person learning benefits better from actually letting the move happen and then learning what happens. So we were talking about this in Japanese systems, and I wasn't aware of this. Usually the person in some form of kata, especially two-person kata, the person who is more skilled is the person who takes the losing position.
Yeah.
Right? And the rationale there is the newer person needs to learn how it works. When they learn how it works, now we can throw in the next step. Now the person who's senior lets it start and then counters. So now when the counter shows up, the newer person can learn how to deal with the counter.
Yeah.
Right? So they're building it in against resistance. I mean, in certain types of martial arts, you got to be really careful. Like sword martial arts, well, we use wooden. we're not using live blades often, but the concept that there is some stuff that maybe as people who are not from the culture, weren't aware of because we were getting caricatures of it.
Yeah.
So when I went to Japan, I had been previously told, oh, they're all so disciplined. You show them something and they practice it for a year. And then when I went there and I'm watching them, whatever you show them, they try it. But then once they try it, top to bottom, they just do whatever they want. And the questions that they asked me, it's like their favorite question. I don't know if you got questions like this because you've been multiple times.
Yeah.
You've been twice?
Twice. Yeah.
Okay. They were asked the favorite question. It's like, do you drink every day? I'm like, no. And they're like, I drink every day. It's like, okay. And what's your favorite food? I'm like, meat. I like meat too. I'm like, okay. But I'm assuming that in Japan, because grazing land and growing large mammals, not the easiest because it's all mountains, that meat happens to be more expensive, or what I'll term meat, right? So chicken, beef, pork, more expensive, harder to get.
Yeah.
It's not impossible by any stretch of the imagination.
No.
It's just it's literally a geographic problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. Food's great.
Well, yeah, and the meat's higher quality.
Yeah.
For basically the same reasons.
Yeah. So but it was interesting to me because I had heard things as somebody who grew up in Canada about Japan. I'd heard people who had been to Japan telling me stories, and I went and I looked and I'm like, this isn't what you told me. Right? These people love to have fun.
Oh my God, yeah.
I was like, oh, and I mean, it's like they definitely work. They're not overly playful, but like one of the most interesting things was the gentleman who I had been kindly taken to teach for, right? So I was taken, which was a gift, which was awesome. But the gentleman was a 6th Dan in Kendo. Right. He ended up telling me there's no more 10th Dan. And I said, why? He's like, don't know. Like, oh, okay. So there's no more 10th Dan in Kendo. And he was testing for 7th. But he had an assistant who I think was 2nd or 3rd Dan.
Okay.
And they called him Jiminy because they said he looked like Jiminy Cricket. And I was like, Jiminy is the number one dirty fighter. Because like in Kendo, it is a legit strike to go for the wrist.
Yes, yeah.
Right. So he just always goes for your He's just trying to like beat the crap out of your wrists. But it's like you won't tell me his name. He's Jiminy. Like you're saying he looks like a cricket, like a cartoon cricket. Like, okay, I mean the guys like to have fun. But I was able to observe a culture in a different way, and I'm like, oh, just as with everything else, people tell me a story, and then when I actually go look at it, I'm like, right. So the conversation I was having about diagnostics, like give yourself the opportunity to be surprised. Don't just assume based on nomenclature. So it's like if it's side bent left, don't assume that it's short on the right.
Yeah.
Go check. Yeah. Because sometimes it's not. Yeah. Right. But if you don't check, you never know. You just assume and you run into the problems. But as far as the training system goes, I seem to have learned that embedded within the training system of most Japanese martial arts is a rigid way of saying no. You know better. They need to learn. It doesn't mean they're not strict about etiquette and protocol, but within that etiquette and protocol is the new one needs to learn, you need to teach. Yeah. So like one of the reasons is senpai a proper term? Like it's a senior?
Senior, yeah.
It's senior. And then there's different terms for different levels of senior and then head. Yeah. So my Japanese is in no way fantastic. You're learning it. But yeah, like senpai, they'll abuse it. Yeah. As with anything, because they're people. Yeah. But the idea is that senpai deserves respect because they've done more, but also they're going to put themselves in a position to help you. Exactly. Right. And is that the way you understood it before?
Yeah. So the way that I see it or saw it, you want to have a senpai because, they've been through all of the things and now they're kind of passing things along to you, but they're not necessarily just giving it to you. They're making you work for it. Yeah. So in the example that you used, I, as a higher belt, if I'm going with a lower belt, I'm not just going to do what I can against them. I'm not just going to grab them and throw them. I'm going to put myself in a vulnerable position and let them learn how to deal with it. I'm not necessarily going to say something right away. I want to see what they come up with. If they come up with something really good and move me, I mean, I'm going to counter, of course, but at the same time, they just learned something on their own based on body positioning. They felt it, all of that sort of stuff. That's my job as somebody's senpai, right? And then once they kind of get up to a certain level, it's just keep challenging them and keep pushing them, so on and so forth.
So the other thing, the reason I have 3s, 2s, and 1s
Yeah.
is that.
Exactly.
So more feedback loops that are different than the individual at the head's feedback loop, more feedback loops, more creativity. We all benefit from it. The fundamental idea is, the way that I like to say it is, the only difference between a black belt and a white belt is that a black belt has to be really good at white belt things,
Yes.
right? Obviously, it's not the only different, the
Yeah.
only difference, but the basic skills should be exceptionally good at the when you get to a certain level, when you've repeated it a few times. So it's built in a martial arts model.
Yeah.
So the way that it's built, and the reason I can have the conversation with you in this way is because you've experienced it in different ways in different martial arts, right?
Yeah.
So, and I don't think I've ever had this conversation in this way with you.
No.
Did you think anything about it before, or was it just kind of like, okay, well, this is what I'm walking into, and this is the way it works. It's cool.
Well, in the way that you explained it to me, I like, yeah, you didn't tell me that. Yeah, it's modeled after these things. It's very obvious to me. Again, having been through it, that it's like, yeah, I know that.
Yeah.
I'm very good at that. So like, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just, you can see the way that it's built, and at least have an idea of like, okay, yeah, this is very similar to this aspect of this martial art. Let's see exactly how similar it is, and let's go for it.
Yeah. So yeah, I never told you explicitly, but it's literally built. Like I wrote it down. I've written it down somewhere. I don't remember where I wrote it down. But if I die and somebody finds it, like I wrote it down, I promise. I don't know if I wrote it in ink or I wrote it on a computer, but it's on computer. And I think I've shared it with at least one person as a PDF. I don't remember. But yeah, like I have it written down somewhere. So somebody else has it electronically. I've never printed it out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've written it down. And it is very much on purpose. It is due specifically to John Danaher writing about Kano and my own experiences with more feedback loops. Because one of the things, even in Thai boxing, what you spar with one person, if you only spar with them, you learn very specific things, right? You're trying to beat each other.
Exactly.
But then when you go to somebody else, you're like, oh, this no longer works. So it's the same phenomenon where if you try a particular physical approach in manual osteopathy, you work on one person. The moment you go and try the exact same thing on somebody else, if you don't notice that there is a difference, it's not a difference in what you're trying to do. It's a difference in how the person responds to you, and you have to change some details. Maybe minor, maybe major. Maybe when you try the move on one person, it's great, and you try it on another person, and it just doesn't do what you want. Right? Does that mean you have to get better at the move? Not necessarily. It might mean that it just doesn't work between the two of you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? So but it's completely built that way because of my experience in martial arts, which is considerably smaller, but also my understanding, and then melded with what I've learned from just getting my master's, right? I had no idea what I was going to learn. I learned stuff, and I was like, oh, it still maps. These are sound principles. So yeah, the overall right now, when you're working, is there anything, and you have a broad experience, but is there anything that shows up that you don't feel like, even if you don't get it right the first time, you can figure out?
So with the approach that I take, I don't feel like I need to fix everything the moment I see it. I know that things take time. People are different. What they're going to do in between the time I see them now versus the next time is going to be different than the next person. So having an understanding that they're going to show up different almost every time, that is in the back of my mind. And if I can't fix it in that one moment or the second moment or the third moment, that doesn't mean that I can't get to it or I can't help them get over the hump. It just means that I might have to take different approaches and look at something else within the body that may be contributing to that pattern.
So overall, confident, well prepared. It's like, okay, well, if I didn't get it this time, I learned something. Right? Are you able quickly to identify when, no matter what you do, it's not going to do anything? Yeah.
It's pretty obvious. That part is, I think, very obvious.
So you're not convinced that hands-on therapy works for everything?
No. And I'm being myself, I'm a prime example of that. It's like, with all the sports that I'm into, somebody manually moving me in a certain position might help in that moment, but I'm going to go and throw my fist into a bag or
Yeah.
whatever the case may be,
Yeah.
and throw a lot of force through that same thing. So is manual therapy ever going to fix that? Not necessarily.
Yeah.
Maybe exercise will.
Yeah, so there's different modalities. Now, some people will say, well, if an osteopathic practitioner is telling you about how you should physically move yourself, it's just an extension of osteopathy. So like remedial exercise, it's like, well, that's osteopathic too. I'm like, well, it's other professions, so I don't know why we have to be this way.
Yeah.
So again, confident as far as knowing, like, yeah, this isn't going to do it.
Yeah.
Previous experience has helped that.
Yeah.
It's not to say that the things that you learned specifically here were the end all be all for it.
No.
Your previous experience combined, and the thing that I'd like to point more to is assessment approaches as opposed to the technique.
Yeah.
So I've started to say the search is more important than the move.
Yeah.
Right? You can figure out the move. It's more of an experimental process, and so problem solving experimental process.
Yeah.
And that's what we do at all points,
Yeah.
right? You get past certain initial things, and then people get a little bit more comfortable with it. They still feel a little lost for a little while, but then they come to it and they're like, yeah, no, I can figure it out.
Yeah.
Or they say, I can't figure it out, and you watch them figure it out.
Yeah.
And then you're like, no, you just did.
Yeah,
Like, no, I feel like I don't know what I'm doing. Like, but I know you know what you're doing because you did it.
It literally happened today.
Yeah. I didn't see it, but I'm not surprised. I was testing students. So now the other deal clinically, you are using everything you've learned. Do you feel that everything you learned is a separated thing, or it's a united thing that now maybe you have a better framework to integrate consistently because of assessment?
Well, yeah, I would think that it's kind of united in a way. Like, yes, I learned them separately, but at the same time, I'm molding it together to come up with my solution for these problems.
Yeah.
But that's to say that I have to be able to assess properly before I can even do that. So knowing how to pivot based on the person that's in front of me and how to assess the tissues I'm trying to assess, that's by far the most important part. And then I can kind of come with this thing of like, well, okay, well, I have like 15 years of experience in every which way. Let's kind of pick from this, pick from that, see what works best for this thing that I just assessed that I know doesn't move well.
Yeah. And is there any explanatory model that you think works consistently and accurately? So, it's this tissue, it's that tissue, it's this bone, it's for this reason.
Can you stick to that? I feel like everyone's different.
Yeah. Okay.
So again, like let's say me and you go in for the same issue of like a shoulder. You have used your shoulder in a sprinting matter more than me because I sprint for cardio, whatever. But then I use my shoulder to punch things or to throw people. Are our lesions going to be the same?
Yeah, I mean, like we're different sizes, we're different shapes.
There's so many different factors.
Yeah.
So yeah, like how can I go off of one model saying that if this tissue is like this, it's because of that?
Yeah.
Well, no, we come from different backgrounds. It may be presenting as the same type of restriction, but it's based off of something completely different.
The word to describe it may be the same.
Yeah.
So I can apply the same category: shoulder dysfunction.
Yes.
But the actual dysfunction, difference in degrees, difference in magnitude, difference in severity, difference in intensity, difference in rationale or etiology. So it's like, yeah. Now, at any point, so this is me definitely trying to like find a way to toot my own horn. Is there any point at which I have attempted to suggest that an idea is more important than the person who's in front of you?
No.
Yeah. It's always the person who's in front of you.
Always the same.
Now, with assessment, I help you figure out how to do a standard approach to assessment that you can do consistently, quickly on everybody, aside from caveats where they just can't do the test you want, so you change the test.
Yep.
And then you zoom in on what you find, so it's always about them. You have standardized approaches to start with. Your assessment is pretty standardized, but it will change a little bit.
Yep.
But then the solution to what you find is based on how they respond to what you try first.
Yep.
And then if it didn't work, you try something second, and you've got an organized way to get through and find the best solution and layer things together. But it's always about the person. You're adjusting to what they respond to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I was helping one person specifically today when we were assessing the shoulder girdle, and they just had a question of like, okay, well, we're doing this gross motion of flexion. Like, how do I know what's included in that? It's like, well, number one, know the anatomy. Know what's there. Obviously, that's important. But it's more so, I move their shoulder, if they're in supine, I move it up, and I can feel where the tension's coming from. Without me moving much, I can literally just put a hand on different tissues and different borders to assess what could be causing the restriction with that gross motion that I just found. Oh, right here, something's going on. I can put my hand in different positions and find out what's moving the least. And I don't even have to move. If I really want to, I can treat it right there.
Yep.
And then reassess without budging.
Yep.
All in like a minute or two.
Yeah. So my general approach to the shoulder girdle is I'll find the big problem.
Yeah.
Then I'll go back to neutral. I'll check the borders of the scapula.
Yeah.
But I completely agree with what you just said. It's not something that I think of much. But yes, once you find the restriction, you can back off it a little bit. Test right there. You just back off it so that they're not struggling against relative resistance around range. Yeah. You just check the tissues around the borders, and you're like, okay, well, this is the worst one in this position. Yeah, you can integrate quickly. I never taught you that.
No, but you gave me the freedom to figure it out.
Yeah.
So now when I am in clinic and somebody's presenting with some sort of problem, it's like, well, I don't have to think of a specific move for this. It's just, no, let me just move it around, find where it doesn't want to move. I can treat it right then and there. I can reassess it. Oh, all of a sudden it's moving better. Great.
Yeah. Now, I could make the counter argument that it's just a long lever conjoint approach, but what you're saying that would be the difference. I've never seen you do this, but I know I think I know what you're saying is the difference. The difference is that you would check around. You wouldn't just assume that the restriction in the movement is what you do. You're like, okay, I found a restriction in the movement. I need to zoom in to smaller things and see where the peak of that restriction is so that I can target that. Because maybe if I just continue this movement with the barrier concept, respecting that I shouldn't put too much stress or strain on it, there should be no protective mechanism, you're actually saying, I may have to change the movement, but the movement told me there's a problem. Now I have to check this person, but I can do it in this position. I don't really need to change.
I don't have to change at all. I mean, if I can find better leverage, then I'll do that, of course. I'll do whatever is necessary for this person in front of me. But I don't have to. I can just keep doing what I was doing. Change my palpation hand to figure out what tissue is affected. Try something right there. If that doesn't work, okay, great. Well, I have other chances to get back to it. But the fact is, I assessed it in a way that was appropriate for this person. I found it. I was able to treat it in different ways and fine-tune things. And then I can see whether that worked or didn't work. And then I can take a different approach based off of that.
Yeah, it's the response. It's an iterative approach.
Yes.
I try something, whatever happens. I learn from whatever happens. Either I learn that I'm awesome or that I need to figure something else out. So this happens to me often. That you have, even though I have never seen you do that, conceptually, obviously, I understand the concept. And I'm like, oh, you just told me something that I never thought about. So your creativity, your approach to the framework that's been utilized, that you've learned, you're like, oh, I do this. I'm like, you never showed me, bro. So I'm like pure disrespect in my face, guy. Not, it isn't, but just for the humor. So. And you've seen me do it many times. Somebody will do something like, I never would have thought of that. That's really cool. I offer to have them do it on film. And if they don't want to, I'll do it on film for them, and I'll call their name, right? Which is fine. Like, I'm never going to pressure you to do something you just are unwilling to do. I give you the opportunity. Like, one of the young ladies is still working on her master's at York. And one of the things I said to her is that if you think that the speaking portion, especially for defense or presentation, is going to be an issue, there's no pressure, but you can speak to people here. I can facilitate a conversation for you to your peers about what you're doing somewhere else, because it's in healthcare, right? Like it's a kin masters. I'm like, but we could do that. And she's like, I'm like, cool, no problem. It's there if you want. I said it to you. Now I've said it on this. Today's the 22nd of March, right? I have stuff scheduled till May 6th. Right, so I'll put. Maybe I'll sneak this in a different way. Like I'll figure out how I want to do it, but I don't want to say this and then have it like be put in their face and feel like pressure. I really don't want to do that. But I understand that the fact that I've verbalized it and that it's possible to be consumed, that maybe it could be interpreted that way. I don't mean it. I do not mean that at all. But no, the freedom and my purposeful choice to not only support it, but acknowledge it when people come up with a solution that I think is really cool, I never would have thought of, right? And it literally just happened in my face. I didn't have to see you do it. I was like, why didn't I think of that? I've probably done it, but I haven't thought to incorporate it as a structured option.
Right.
So,
and even that in and of itself isn't necessarily structured in my head. It's just me thinking of what I've done in the past in terms of assessing. It's like, this is, you didn't teach me a move per se.
No.
You just taught me a method of assessing, like just thinking of things and then moving on to something else that might be related. And I'm just piecing it together on the fly.
Yeah. I like it.
That's it.
I like it. Yeah, it's around 6. Yeah. So, this has actually been very fruitful in a way that I didn't expect, which I like. Honestly, that's one of the things I'm looking for when I have the opportunity to have discussions. Clearly, I can do soliloquy.
Yeah.
Like I can go.
Yeah.
I can just talk, especially if I have a topic. Like this morning, I went for an hour. I was mostly on topic. Somebody did make a joke, and they're like, "Man, it's a new record, tangent in 2 minutes." I was like, it wasn't my fault. She said so. So. But I can do that. Over time, I do want to do my best. I got microphones. It feels sexier. Look at the lights, man. So my aim is to build it out as conversation, because right now, if somebody were to consume most of what I do, it's just me.
Yeah.
Right. So the criticism could be that there's no conversation, there's no pushback, there's no opportunity for increasing confidence in what I'm saying or decreasing. Obviously, if I'm speaking to people I already know, it's just more likely that it's going to go in the same direction.
Sure.
But my hope is across time that I'm able to display, and obviously part of this is me just trying to be like, look, I'm proving it, that I'm happy with the conversation. And then when somebody says something different that maybe I didn't think of, I'll attempt to display appreciation for it. But yeah, thank you. Because now I'm like, right when you said it, I was like, son of a gun, something else I have to do. But the reason that maybe I don't have to do it in the way that I feel like I have to do it, because it's new in my brain, is because you did it anyways. I didn't have to show it to you. You came up with it, which means it's possible to come up with. Yeah. Somebody else might already have, and I just didn't see it. Right? I can't see everything.
Of course.
I want to. No, I probably don't. I probably don't. I like the freedom matters to me. So anyways, because I know that you have other things to do, thank you very much.
Yeah, no, thanks for inviting me.
Oh, man, shit. My hope is that we do this just consistently, as long as time permits, when you do you do show up, when we got modules. So thank you, Preston Baptiste. You can find him many places. My hope at other times is I'm going to make him, that's the wrong way. I'm going to offer him.
Force me.
It's like, I mean, everybody has their day. Offer the opportunity, the space to show some of his technical approaches, because I again, with the general YouTube stuff, my aim is to not just have it be me, but have it be other people, so that they're showing. Obviously, it's going to be more generated from the approach that I take as an educator. But the reason I want to show that is because I want to show that the approach taken for education develops a variety. Right? Yep. As I enunciate. Anyways, thank you very much. Hopefully you've learned something, because I sure as heck did.